and start recording.
Okay, it's 4 o'clock, so I'm going to call the meeting to order. Cindy Kelsey isn't on the call yet, but maybe you can let me know when she does arrive.
For sure.
Okay. Our first motion is moved by Tom and seconded by Sherry that the agenda for the regular council meeting held July 13th, 2021 be approved as presented. Are there any amendments?
There is one, Madam Mayor, that we have a request from the Sylvia McKenzie in the literature that is in the package that you may wish to ask council. She would like to speak on that report since we're going to be going. So you would have to ask council if they would entertain her. But that's the only thing I have that is to be added on, certainly the council package.
Okay, and we can add that as we get to that issue. Okay, all those in favor? Motion's carried. Is there any disclosure pecuniary interest in general nature thereof of any item on tonight's agenda by any member of council? Okay, hearing none, we'll note that in the minutes. I have a motion moved by Bill and seconded by Nikki that the minutes of the regular council meeting held June 22nd, 2021 be approved as presented. Any discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Okay. Mayor's remarks, just some brief remarks, and I want to sincerely thank council and staff for all the work that they've done for the vaccination clinics. We're down to our last 2 vaccination clinics. One is next Monday, where I don't know the exact number now, but it's probably close to 400 or 450. And then there's one more on August the 9th. And the Charlotte Lake Family Health Team and Dr. Bell and Dr. Koenig could not have done this without the municipality's contribution of the fire hall, the volunteer firemen putting machines in and out and setting it up and taking it down, and all of the volunteers that have helped out over the number of clinics that we've had. We're doing great, and our area is much safer because of the efforts of so many people. So thank you, the municipality, and you as councillors for buying into this project that was so important to folks. Numbers are down, but if you've been watching the news, KGH had an outbreak, and just how quickly it can spread from 1 or 2 people to 17, 18, 20 people. So we can't let our guards down yet. If you know of anybody who hasn't been vaccinated, please encourage them to call the medical center or go to drop-in clinics right now. The Invista Center and Napanee are taking drop-ins. They have appointments that aren't being filled. So if somebody needs a vaccination, they should stop by and they probably can get one, whether it's first or second. That's it for me. We're getting to the wrap-up stage with another 2 to come. Anyone else have anything to add?
Yes, Your Worship. I just wanted to compliment you, Your Worship, and the Charlotte Lake Health Team, because I've heard a lot of positive comments from the folks that attended those vaccination clinics, and everybody was so pleased with the work that you guys did. It was so efficient and well run, and everybody in the community that I talked to appreciates it very much. So congratulations to you and the health team at Charlotte Lake.
Thank you. I'll pass that along. It has gone well. Okay, let's move on then. There's no deferred items. So staff report.
Madam Mayor, we do now have Cindy Kelsey on the line.
Okay, great. Welcome, Cindy.
Hi.
Okay. All right, we have a motion moved by Brett and seconded by Victor that council receive the construction details report, June 2021 for information. Any questions or comments, Bill?
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor, to Andy. Andy, is this
number for the month of June of this year. Is that a record, or have we had higher months than what you've indicated here?
I would think it's a record, but I would have to check to make sure.
Yeah, looks very good. Thank you,
Thanks.
Madam Mayor.
Okay. Andy, you're doing a great job, and we know it's a lot of pressure right now, and it will calm down, I think. I'm not sure, but let's hope. Okay, all those in favor of the motion? Carried. Moved by Cindy and seconded by Tom. Whereas Ontario Regulation 507-18, broader public sector, energy reporting and conservation and demand management plans enacted under the Electricity Act 1998 requires municipalities and the broader public sector to develop, implement, and make available to the public energy conservation and demand management plans. And whereas an annual report on or before July 1st in each year of energy use and greenhouse gas emissions is to be posted online with the Ministry of Energy and locally on the municipality's website. And whereas public agencies need to develop a 5-year energy conservation and demand plan and publish the plan on their website, which must be updated every 5 years. Now, therefore, it be it resolved that council accept the annual energy report for facilities as prepared by the Manager of Development Services /CBO and direct staff to post it on the municipality's website. Questions or comments? Sherry?
Just a comment through you, Madam Mayor. I was just surprised in looking at the information at the notable difference between the two garages and as well the Kennebec Hall comparatively to the municipal office. I just thought that it was interesting, the difference.
Any comments, Andy?
Through you, Madam Mayor, the numbers are kind of all over the map. But the program that we have, these numbers were put in 2018. I think a lot of the invoices must have gotten missed being entered. I think that's why there's such an increase in the 2019 numbers. But, without doing a lot more work, this is what the program spit out for me. But I know they're probably not accurate numbers for 2018.
Thanks, Andy.
Nikki, did you have your hand up?
Yes, thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. Andy, we're into 2021, so my question was, is it always a year behind that you produce this report for, as why there would not be a 2020 year there for us?
Yeah, the reporting requirements are always a year behind.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Bill, did I see your hand?
Madam Mayor, that's the only
Bill
ones I've
McDonald?
seen.
Okay, I didn't see Bill's hand.
Brent.
Okay, Brent.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In terms of the numbers that we see, and again, I take the point that they're all over the place and there may be some differences with regard to reporting. But beyond our responsibility to put these numbers up, are we using them for any kind of planning? And toward that end, it would be, are we looking at swapping out lighting systems for LEDs? Are we looking at maybe converting at some point electric heat to maybe a cheaper source? I'm just wondering if there's any utility in terms of planning maintenance on our various facilities, whether it be heating source, lighting source, or installation.
Through you, Madam Mayor, any of the capital improvements that we do to the buildings, we try to incorporate energy efficiency into them. we're not going out and changing light fixtures or anything like that unless they need to be changed. But Oso Hall with a new ceiling, we've upgraded the insulation and switched the lighting there all to LEDs. And I think we'll see some improvements there.
Okay. Okay. No other questions or comments? All those in favor of the motion? Carried. That's it for Andy, unless anybody has a question for him. We're now at Public Works.
Thanks, Council.
Thank you, Andy. Okay, our first motion is the activity report, and moved by Sherry and seconded by Nikki, that council received the Public Works activity report as prepared by the Public Works Manager dated July 13th, 2021 for information. Any discussion on the activity report? Tyson is with us. Bill?
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor,
Go
to
ahead.
Tyson. Can you hear me? You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Under
Yes.
project tenders, Tyson, you have screened winter sand. The winter sand that was left over from last year will be hauled to the Olden Garage starting Monday 12th. Where are we hauling sand from and to there? We're not moving it out of other depots, are we? Or are we moving it from somewhere else?
Through you, Madam Mayor, if I understand your question correctly, Bill or Councilor McDonald, we had leftover pile of leftover screen sand from the 2020 in-house project we did to screen our own sand. We are hauling it from the Ardoc Road pit to the Olden Garage to fill that dome with whatever we've got left over. Looks like we're going to have, this is new information, but Steve's hauling the remainder of it there right now. Looks like we're going to have enough left over to have a pile left in the pit this year for possibility of a top up. So I don't think we're going to haul the rest of that sand down to Hinchinbrook. We may put a contract. We're still considering putting a contract out, since it'll be only to fill one dome. It might make sense. We might get really great pricing to fill it, have a contractor fill our dome down in the south end of the township.
Okay, thank you.
Just so through you, Madam Mayor, just so council knows, we've got a limited amount of sand. We estimate between 3 and 5 years of, sorry, I should say between 5 and 10 years of sand in the Ardoc pit. We're trying to do a balance of screening it and using it in-house versus getting a contractor to provide sand. If we do it every couple of years, bonus of screening our sand is the byproduct. We use the big 6-inch granular to go around culverts, and we also use the 3-inch minus for building up roads and problem areas. So we're on a bit of a rotation. We're trying to get on a bit of a rotation where we screen every couple or few years ourselves.
Good. When it's there, we might as well be using it, right? Brent?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Tyson, this is not a question you'll be able to answer immediately. This is something that I'm hoping maybe we can look at in the coming months. It's, I think, clear to everybody that given the construction starts that we're having, plus the number of people who've extended their stay in the township due to COVID, people that are normally seasonal for 2 months or 4 and 6 months, we must be getting a lot of uptake in terms of the amount of garbage going into the waste sites. And I'm just curious, notwithstanding anything we would normally have with regard to amnesty loads, taking that aside, I'm just wondering if at some point in time there'd be an opportunity to look at stats in terms of what the volume of garbage is during COVID and maybe the projections going forward as opposed to pre-COVID. I think with the number of new building starts and just the fact that people are extending their stays, we're going to get more and more pressure on our landfills. And I think the assumptions that we've made in terms of lifespan for Mountain Grove. I'm not sure we may or may not have to revisit them, but I'm just wondering if we would have an opportunity to look at what the trend seems to be.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I 100% agree with Councillor Cameron. What we're doing is our attendants are tracking loads and the volumes that come in, and we absolutely will be providing a report. And now that we've got a waste and recycling committee, that's something that I can lean on them to help me out with. And our strategy, well, obviously that's going to impact our lifespan. So we'll get that in, that we'll provide those volumes to our environmental consultant who will help generate our lifespan report. And we will update that in at the end of this season. And our strategy is also to, since a lot of that construction debris that you mentioned with the extra building, since that isn't technically residential, that's more like commercial use. What we're trying to do is also take a look at the bylaws to see if there's any areas we can strengthen bylaws to encourage contractors to be using more of industrial, like commercial waste sites for their construction debris in large volumes like that. So as long as through you, Madam Mayor, as long as Kathy and Fran are okay with a report at the start of 2022, I think that was my plan. But if council asks for one earlier, we could provide one maybe in the third quarter.
Third quarter is sufficient, Brent? That should give us a good timeline.
Absolutely. I know that you're all very busy, and I appreciate that. So, this isn't something that necessarily has to get turned around quickly, but I know that it would be a useful planning tool. This community has changed a lot over the last year and a half. It's going to continue to change. And I think it would be a very helpful planning tool for everybody concerned. So whatever time frame you need, Tyson, certainly fine by me.
And I think that, Tyson, you probably could do it sort of in October, because do you not have another amnesty in September?
We have, through you, Madam Mayor, we have kind of already agreed to council to provide a pretty detailed amnesty report at the end of 2021. So it might make sense to have those two reports come to the same meeting.
Yeah.
Looking at the council schedule here, and would the 14th of December be an acceptable meeting to bring that to?
For sure.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. All right, so back to the activity report motion. Any other questions or comments? If not, all those in favor of the motion? Motion's carried. Okay. Next is Canada Community Revitalization Fund. Moved by Bill and seconded by Victor. Whereas the current downtown revitalization project for Charlotte Lake is continuing its mandate with a completion date of August 2021, and whereas funding is available through the Canada Community Revitalization Fund that would enable the downtown revitalization project to implement appropriate enhancements to the public amenities available in the village of Charlotte Lake. Now, therefore, it be it resolved that council authorize staff to submit a funding application to the Canada Community Revitalization Fund, July 23rd, 2021 intake for a maximum amount of $92,690. And further, that the mayor and CAO clerk be authorized to enter into an agreement with FedDef Ontario should the said application be successful. So, motion to apply for a grant. Any discussion? Sherry? Sherry and then Victor.
All right, just a comment through you, Madam Mayor, but I just wanted to thank Adriana and Tyson for all of their work on this.
Victor?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have a question about the grant match program. I'm assuming that any of the grants that we would get through this program, we would not be able to pay the fee to grant match from the grant money that we get, which means we would have to pay from our operating reserves. Would that be a correct assumption? I'm going to start there.
Through you, Madam Mayor,
Tyson, go ahead.
Adriana may be able to correct me, but from my understanding is that we would raise that percentage ourselves in-house.
Okay, so then my question would be, if we get a $1 million grant, we would have to pay a $100,000 fee, and that's a significant amount for our budget. How are we going to accommodate that? Like, are we going to, in our next budgeting, are we going to set aside a certain reserve specifically to pay for any possible grants that we receive? Because $100,000 for $1 million loan or a grant, that's wonderful that we would get the grant, but how are we going to pay for it?
Through you, Madam Mayor, Kathy and Michael and I have had discussions about starting to budget a pool of money to, now that we have Adriana looking into this and we were using grant match, to start setting aside some money for that percentage. Adriana, do you have anything to add to that?
Hi, thanks everyone.
Go ahead.
I do. So what's great about this partnership is it's kind of a case-by-case basis. So I think if it came to grants that maybe we'd have or would have kind of a track record doing well applying on our own, then we could apply on our own without any assistance from grant match, and then we don't pay grant match anything. But there are some that are a bit more unique lately, and or for my cases, just being stretched resource wise, it's been really handy to start through some of the DR project building the township's profile. But again, these are all a case-by-case basis. So if there was something where we thought, wow, that's an astronomical amount to pay back off of this amount we'd rather put into the community, we're never, I'm have a fever today, so I'm losing words, but we don't have to work with them on every single grant. We can on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, it's like we're not obligated, basically. Adriana, correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you for that information. I am in support of this. If we can get money into the township and we only have to pay 10% of that back, I'm all for it. But I just want to make sure that we're not going to get caught during budget time because we didn't account for the fees that we have to pay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tom?
Thank you, Your Worship.
ahead,
Just
Tom.
a quick, yeah, I'm in favor of it too, Victor, but quick question. Is this Canada Rehabilitation Fund that we're applying for, is that something that we could apply for, possibly a grant to help upgrade the rink here in Arden? Or does that qualify?
I believe something like that would qualify. I personally don't have anything ready, prepared for that. Right now, this grant is looking for shovel-ready projects. And so what's coming in handy for me is that, well, not just me, but the Public Works and the Revitalization Project, is that maybe a month and a half ago, we applied for a different grant program, and we're really just repurposing that proposal and getting it out there again, taking another chance at it and kind of spreading our odds. Unfortunately, I don't have any materials or plans ready to go for something related to a rink, but that doesn't mean that someone else isn't maybe able to do that.
Okay, Brent?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think just touching on Tom's comments, and I think that's perfectly valid. The Economic Development Committee's been involved with this, and certainly it's been a very, very involved process. And I'll thank Adriana and Tyson for their leadership on this. But again, we are an Economic Development Committee for the entire township, not just Sharbot Lake. Sharbot Lake is the center of attention right now for this particular project. But I think what you raise in terms of the rink and other projects, you know, from my perspective, and it's something that we've talked about on the committee, that we're so eager to start branching out from Sharbot Lake once we've done the work to get this project done, and to see the work that we've done that's going to be unveiled in August used as a template to doing a downtown revitalization for Arden, a downtown revitalization for Parham and Titchburn, a downtown revitalization for Mountain Grove. There are opportunities here, and I think that going forward, the Economic Development Committee should be taking on some sense of these other projects, which could be a center point to doing economic development and downtown revitalization in those particular areas. So it's something that we need to talk about, and it's something we need to put on our radar screen.
Thanks, Ben.
The other thing, Madam Mayor, I just wanted to mention with this project, I mean, some of that stuff has already been ready because of the Multi-Use Cultural Center committee had already had plans drawn up for all this. So those things have already, are on record now. So I think that's what they're going to be taking off. Except when you read the report to me, and I mean, Councillor Bill McDonald can certainly, because he sat on the Multi-Use Cultural Center committee, but it seems to mirror that same project. So, but we can certainly, and I'm thinking like, Councillor Cameron had said, certainly it's good to reach out to the other communities certainly as well.
Well, and certainly what we're learning from this project, we can use in all of our villages and small hamlets. So that's a good thing. Okay, on the motion then. All those in favor of applying for the grant? Motion's carried.
All right, I better get to work. Just kidding. I have an email to send. Thanks.
Thank you, Adriana.
Okay, thanks, Adriana. Okay. Now we are at Bernie Point Road, and before we start, we have members of the public who have sent a number of emails and letters before tonight's meeting to say that they feel they need some more consultation before council makes a firm decision on this issue. I spoke today to Sylvia McKenzie, and she and her husband Paul are participants in our meeting tonight, I believe. And I did suggest to her that if council approved having them do a presentation, that it would be your decision, that I couldn't add them unless you approved. I did say, however, that I wouldn't want to have 16 residents on the road all making a presentation. So they assured me that they would speak on behalf of a lot of the residents on that road. So do I have council's permission to ask Sylvie and Paul to speak on the issue? Victor?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I recognize that Paul and Sylvia have presented before already. My sort of concern is I got a phone call from another resident on Arthur Lane just yesterday, and they just found out about it. And so they've just had like 2 days to sort of put things together. I have no issue with Paul and Sylvia presenting, but I'm wondering whether or not we should make an opportunity for the others to put together a presentation, like I don't want to hear from all of them, but if they could come together and make one presentation that we could hear at a later meeting. So I'm not opposed to Paul and Sylvia speaking today, but I think we also have to give the others a chance to speak as well.
Okay. The other thing we can do is we could defer this motion tonight, and we could have staff and myself, I have offered to mediate a discussion between staff and the residents to hear what they have to say and document what their concerns are on the issue. And then we can bring it back after maybe some more investigation happens. There still, I think, are some questions. And the big thing that the residents are saying is, as you say, Victor, some just found out about this, so really haven't had an opportunity to hear the history or hear what the issues are.
So that would be acceptable to me.
Okay, so if we're going to defer it and set up a meeting with the residents and staff. And if you would like me to sit in on that, I would be glad to do that, to hear their concerns, but I would need a motion to defer this motion.
Actually,
I'll move
Madam
to
Mayor,
defer.
you could read this motion because the motion does show that you just check off deferred.
Okay. Sherry?
Sorry, Madam Mayor, I would be willing to make a motion.
Okay. Bill?
Yes, through Madam Mayor, I would like to see us deal with this issue as soon as possible, so that if we're going to defer it, let's try and deal with it in the month of August, because this has been going on for some time. And if we have stopped doing some minor maintenance on this road, then perhaps until we make a decision, what we should do is we should maybe ask Public Works to if there's some dangerous situation on that road that we were actually looking after before, that perhaps they should maybe continue that service until we make a final decision.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, I do
Okay.
have Sylvia and Paul McKenzie's hand up. I'm wondering if they have some information to put towards us. Do you want me to enable them to talk?
Is council acceptable to hear what they have to say? Okay, sure.
Okay.
I've got nods.
Okay, so I've moved you over. You just need to unmute and you should be able to speak.
Okay, thank you. Actually, we only just wanted to add really what Councillor McDonald just said. Actually, I put my hand up before he started to speak, just to say that the road has deteriorated because of the major rainfalls we've had. And we would appreciate if you could reinstate service until a decision is made on the southern portion of Bernie Point Road.
Okay.
Probably
Okay.
the only other thing I would mention is that we do have some cottage owners that I believe are away until the latter part of the summer. So deferring it to September would be helpful.
Sylvia, is it possible for us to get in touch with those folks to do a Zoom meeting?
Probably, yes, I would think so.
Because I think that's how we could meet is to do a Zoom meeting so that we can
Okay.
get everyone in, whether or not they're actually at their cottage or home.
Right, sounds good.
Okay. So Tyson, I guess the question to you, with the washouts and the water that's come down, can you go and fix what needs to be done?
Madam Mayor, as long as that is direction from council and doesn't put us into any of a legal bind, Cindy will be able to speak with that. I think it's a really reasonable request and we don't mind. I just don't want to, I want to make sure that it's clear that the road has not been maintained and that I agree with deferring this, and I think it's a great idea to let us look into it longer. We all do have a common goal, including Sylvia and Paul, is just for clarity on these matters, which we're trying our best to provide, but a little more time would be helpful, and everybody's input from their end would be helpful as well. So as long as council is directing me to go ahead and do some maintenance on that road, then we can definitely grade it.
Okay. Council, that is the direction. We've maintained this road before. We've stopped maintaining it, so we need to restart the maintenance that we've been doing. Do I see some nods with that? Okay, we got to make it safe.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so I'm
Thank you.
going to, the proper thing is to read this motion and then you can vote to defer it, right, Kathy?
Yes.
Okay, so moved by Tom and seconded by Sherry. Whereas council passed resolution 194/2021 on May the 11th, 2021, requesting staff to provide more information about the status of the portion of Bernie Point Road south of Ivy Lane following a request from the Mackenzies for the resumption of maintenance of this section of Buell Lane. Now therefore be it resolved that council accept the information provided in this report, and further that based on the best evidence available at this time, that the section of Bernie Point Road between Ivy Lane and the division between lot 14 and 15 is a forced/trespass road. And provided staff can arrange a suitable turnaround at this juncture, the road should be maintained to the southern boundary of lot 15. And further, that the section of road in lot 14, based on the best evidence available, is a private right-of-way, and therefore this section should not be maintained by the township unless and until a bylaw is passed dedicating and assuming the road into the township road network system. So all those in favor of deferring the motion?
Do we not
Oh,
need a
sorry.
mover and seconder?
Yes, it's Tom
We
and
have
Sherry.
one, Tom and Sherry.
Okay.
Okay. Those who want to defer this motion, put up your hands. Okay, motion's deferred. Okay, so hopefully between now and the August meeting, staff can pull together a meeting with the residents of that area, and I will chair the meeting, and we'll see what we can come up with to get this situation resolved.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, before we leave this, can I just ask, there's a lot of folks, I think, listening in here, so we can send out information via mailing addresses on tax bills, but anyone who wants to receive anything by email, if you can send me a quick email with your particulars so I have everything, that would be helpful. cdeachman@centralfrontenac.com.
Excellent. Okay. Yes, and please do. We want to hear what everyone has to say, because there's lots of history on this road that, we don't have at our fingertips. Some of us have been around a long time, but some of us haven't. So with the changeover of staff, the more history we can get, the better. All right, we're moving on to fire and emergency services. I have a motion moved by Cindy and seconded by Brent that council receive for information the CFFR activity report as prepared by the acting manager of emergency services / fire chief dated July 13th, 2021. And Jamie is with us to answer any questions you might have. Any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none. All those, Brent, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's just a quick question. Jamie, we've started doing burn permits online. I'm just wondering if there's, I haven't seen any stats yet, and maybe it's a little early. I'm just wondering at what point we're going to see some numbers with regard to how many permits were processed and, the stats that come off of that.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Cameron. I'm hoping to have a report for August. We're still working through some of the glitches with the new system and getting people processed. We've had some issues with the payment side of it, but we've been working with the vendor. It's actually PayPal that we've been having the issues with. So it's getting that. I think we've got the bug worked out and we're getting everybody caught up. So I wanted to wait until we got that taken care of. But so far, our permits are greater than previous years. And it's been actually going really well. Like I said, a few little hiccups, but the program itself has been going really well.
Good. Okay. All right. No other questions or comments? All those in favor of the motion? Carried.
And one little comment, Madam Mayor, if I may. It wouldn't unmute when you were doing your remarks, and I wanted just to congratulate you as well for taking your hat off as the mayor and working with the Sharp Lake Health team with the vaccine clinics. It's great that we have such a great community that comes together like this to get things done. And we're, the Central Frontenac Fire and Rescue is very proud to be part of it and working with the community so that we can make our community safe.
Good.
Yes.
Thank you. We couldn't do it without all of us together.
Exactly.
Okay. Next, that's it. That's it for fire, Jamie. You're off the hook easy tonight. Okay,
Yes,
we're moving on.
week holidays.
Perfect. All right, we have a motion moved by Tom and seconded by Victor. Whereas a landowner, Heidi Horowitz, wishes to obtain an entrance permit from Ministry of Transportation for access to her property, and whereas the proposed location for this entrance is located on the unopened road allowance between concession 3 and 4 Oso, and whereas the property owner has requested a license agreement for permission to improve use this use this unopened road allowance for access to her property. Now, therefore, be it resolved that council agree in principle with granting a license to use and improve on terms and conditions outlined the draft agreement. And further, that council authorize the mayor and clerk CAO to sign the final agreement, which agreement shall be substantially in the same form as presented, subject to any legal or surveying advice obtained. Any discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Okay. Have a motion moved by Bill and seconded by Nikki. Whereas council passed resolution 164/2021 dated April 27th, 2021 to provide for the negotiation of a lease based on the information provided on report 77/2021. Whereas the owners of the property have requested the lease arrangement be amended as a result of a different buyer. Now, therefore, be it resolved that council confirm agreement in principle with the new proposed lease agreement and direct staff to finalize the lease arrangement as outlined in this report, subject to legal counsel. And further, that the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign the finalized lease. Any discussion? Tom? You're still on mute, Tom.
On the east side,
there.
I believe it's the east side of the property where all those, the crisscross yellow lines are. Is that the area next to Highway Road 38? I just wasn't quite familiar with the way it was. I saw it on the diagram, but is that where we're talking about the extra parking?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Dewey, the hatched area is the part of the parking area. It is adjacent to Road 38, and it forms about roughly half of the existing parking lot for the restaurant. So that the hatched part is the section that they don't necessarily want to have an exclusive lease over. That would just be a use agreement that they would maintain the parking, but it wouldn't be exclusive to the restaurant.
Now, does that take into where the miniature golf was? Does that go up into there?
I don't believe so. I believe if you look at the map attached to the report, I believe the little mini putt area and building in behind is on the actual Maples property. Yep. Shown on the sketch.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or? What was that, Tyson?
I just agree with Cindy with the golf is on the Maples property, and that's more in the parking lot area.
Okay.
Okay. So you think part of the golf course is road allowance?
No.
No,
that would be part of 38, I think. Fran.
No, the golf course, the mini putt area is all, I believe, within the property of the Maples. It's just that bit of parking area that is on the road allowance. Okay. Yeah.
On the road allowance that's adjacent to 38.
Yeah. And then the leased area on the west side of the property that sort of covers where the playground area is. That's the expanded lease area that they've asked for a lease over all of that property. The previous request was to basically shave off that little bit at the front end and make it straight. And now they would like the whole area as part of the lease.
Okay.
Okay, if there's no other questions or comments, all those in favor? Motion's carried. Okay. Williams Lane Road closure, moved by Sherry and seconded by Brent. Whereas Council passed Resolution 252, 2021 at its meeting June 22nd, 2021 to bring the road closure bylaw back to Council at its July 13th, 2021 meeting. Whereas all three concerned parties have confirmed they have come to satisfactory easement arrangements and consent to the township proceeding with the closure bylaw. Now therefore be it resolved that Council receive this report for information and consider the draft bylaw attached to this report later in the meeting. I like it when people can get it together. Any discussion? Bill?
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor, I was just wondering, will we have on record a copy of that agreement going forward?
Cindy?
Through you, no, other than what will be registered on title, we're not privy to what the arrangements are.
It's not our, yeah, it's not municipal property.
That's right. As
Okay.
long as they can work it out and agree, that's the good thing. Okay, all those in favor of the motion? Motion's carried. Okay. Now we have the big motion. This is adoption of our official plan. There's Joe Gallivan. Hello, Joe. I have a motion. Moved by Victor and seconded by Cindy. Yes, good evening. Glad to have you with us and glad we are at July and we're doing our motion for our official plan. That's been a lot of work, but we're here. Moved by Victor, seconded by Cindy. Whereas the township began a review of its official plan in 2017, and whereas the current plan was approved by the Ministry of Municipal Affairs in June 2008, and whereas the provincial policy statement has been updated twice, 2014 and 2020, and the County of Frontenac had its first official plan approved in 2016. And whereas the township official plan is required under the Planning Act to conform to the county official plan and to be consistent with the provincial policy statement. And whereas the township held 6 open houses to engage with members of the public on a variety of policy directions in the official plan, and 3 drafts of the document were prepared and revisions made to the plan based on the consultation. Now, therefore, it be it resolved that Council receive the final draft of the official plan dated July the 13th, 2021. And further, that Council adopt the Central Frontenac official plan and direct staff to forward to the County of Frontenac for approval. Any discussion? It's been a long time coming, but it's a good document and will take us where we need to go in the future. All those in favor? Oh, do we have discussion? Nikki, did you want to say something? Okay, go ahead, Nikki.
Oh, sorry, thank you. To you, Madam Mayor. Just a quick question. Now that we approve, if we approve the official plan tonight, how long will it take for the zoning bylaw to be updated and we can vote on it and have it in place?
Okay, the official plan goes to the county for its approval, which could take a couple of months, probably September, October, Joe. And then after that, we start working on the zoning bylaw. Zoning bylaw could take a couple of years. It's a big document. It's a lot of work. Joe, you should speak to that instead of me.
Thank you, Mayor. Through you, Mayor, to Councillor Gowdy. Yes, so you adopt the plan tonight and then it will go to County Council for final approval. And of course, Councillor McDonald and the Mayor will be there to shepherd it through. I don't expect any bumps in the road when we take it to County Council. Kathy McMunn has already discussed with me briefly about starting the zoning bylaw. It's definitely on the radar. Under the Planning Act, you have to start working on a zoning bylaw to conform to your new official plan within 2 years. But to the Mayor's point, it'll take a couple of years, probably take a couple of years to do the work. It is can be a property by property process. The area that we want to make sure we get right most of all is the waterfront zoning. So, but we can come up with a work plan with Kathy in soon this fall, hopefully. Thank you.
I'll have him give you a call back.
Okay, Bill?
Yes, through Madam Mayor to Joe. I think until such times the status quo remains the same in our zoning bylaw that we already have in place until we replace it. So it's not as if we're rolling without a zoning bylaw. Am I correct, Joe?
That's correct. And when the new official plan is in effect and in force, that certainly will be something that we will be using for any potential changes in land use as well. Even though it's not the law in terms of zoning, it will be a policy of council. And so if something conflicts with the OP, we'll be using that because that's the most recent decision you've made.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So they kind of dovetail, even though they're not totally in harmony, right?
That's correct, Mayor.
Okay. Okay, good question though, Nikki.
That's right. And that's why I said, Joe, we'll be busy over the next couple of years trying to get things rolling, but we can do that.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion? Motion's
Good
approved.
job, Joe.
Yes, thank you for all your work, Joe.
Thank you, council. A lot of work of council and the community who attended all those meetings, which made this plan, gave the plan its value for sure. Not staff, it was the community. Thank you, Mayor.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very true. Very true. Okay, onwards. We are still in administration and we have the EOTA and the Verona Club ATV agreement. Moved by Brent and seconded by Bill. Whereas Council passed Resolution 254-2021 on June 22nd, 2021, which contemplated appointing a member to the working committee, which will be established to work with the EOTA to ensure the success of the collaborative efforts of the EOTA and the Verona ATV Club in rehabilitating the 30 kilometers of the Tay Havelock Trail within Central Frontenac. And whereas Deputy Mayor Nikki Gowdy has put her name forward to sit on this committee, now therefore be it resolved that Deputy Mayor Nikki Gowdy be appointed to this committee, and further that the terms of reference be brought back to council for its information. So there is work to be done on the terms of reference. Any discussion?
Thank you, Nikki.
Yes. All those in favor? Motion's carried. Wayne Robinson and I will help put together some terms of reference ideas to work with staff as well, just so we can get it done sooner than later. All right, committees and other reports. Moved by Nikki and seconded by Sherry that council received the minutes of the Quinte Conservation Authority's board meetings held April 22nd and May 20th, 2021 for information. Any discussion? All those in favor? Carried. I have a motion moved by Cindy and seconded by Tom that council received the approved minutes from the CPAC meeting held March 18th, 2021 for information. Any discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Moved by Tom and seconded by Victor that council received the minutes of the EOTA's May 13th, 2021 board meeting for information. Discussion, all those in favor? Carried. Okay. Have a motion moved by Bill and seconded by Cindy. Be it resolved that the Township of Central Frontenac endorse the resolution and correspondence received from the town of Fort Erie calling on the federal government to cease further consideration of eliminating capital gains tax exemptions on primary residences. And further that a copy of this resolution be circulated to the Right Honorable Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada, the Honorable Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, the Honorable Christina Freeland, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, Peter Betheffely, Ontario Minister of Finance, for their support. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. Okay. So we are at correspondence. Moved by Nikki and seconded by Sherry that council received the following correspondence for information, and it's number 1 to 15 in your package. Any discussion on any of those items? All those in favor? Carried. Okay. All right, we have no delegations. And
No.
we did general correspondence. So now we have a public meeting. Okay, the Council of the Township of Central Frontenac is conducting two public meetings under the Planning Act. The first public meeting is in respect to application Barker Peters ZB 0421 for the zoning of Part Lot 25, Concession 5, Hinchinbrook Township, 1580 Wagerville Road from EP1 to a rural zone to allow for development. The second public meeting is with respect to application ZB 0521 Wilson for the rezoning of part of Lot 17, Concession 7, Geographic Township of Kennebec, being 29649 Highway 7, Arden, from a rural zone to a rural exemption temporary zone to permit a food truck as a temporary use to operate on the subject property for 3 years in addition to the existing uses. I will now ask the Deputy Clerk to advise the method by which notice of the meeting was given and confirmation as to the date that notice was given. Cindy?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I can confirm that the notices were emailed and mailed out on June 22nd for both applications, and the signs were given to the applicants to post on the property as well on June 22nd.
Okay. Any person who wished to receive a copy of the minutes of the public meeting, a copy of the report or notice of the passing should indicate their full name, address, postal code, and contact numbers to Cindy Deckman, Deputy Clerk, at the contact information provided in the report. If a person or public body does not make oral submissions at the public meeting or make written submissions to the Township of Central Frontenac before the proposed amendment being approved, adopted, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the Council of the Township of Central Frontenac to the Ontario Land Tribunal and may not be added as a party to the hearing of an appeal before the Ontario Lands Tribunal unless, in the opinion of the tribunal, there are reasonable grounds to do so. The procedure for the public meeting will be as follows. The planner will be asked to explain the purpose of the public meeting. The applicant will then be provided with an opportunity to discuss the proposal. I will then inquire if there are any persons present who wish to make oral or written submissions on the proposed proposal. If so, you should announce your name and state whether you support or oppose the proposal. Should there be any other person wishing to make comments or ask questions about the proposal, they will then be given an opportunity to address council. The applicant will also be given an opportunity to respond to issues arising from the public comments. Please be aware that all persons wishing to address the issues should direct their comments and questions through the chair. I would also note that personal information collected as a result of the public meeting is collected under the authority of the Municipal Act, the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, the Planning Act, and all other relevant legislation, and will be used to assist in making a decision on this matter. All personal information is defined by MFIPA, including but not limited to names, addresses, opinions, and comments collected will be made available for public disclosure to members of the public at the meeting through request and through the website of the Corporation of the Township of Central Frontenac. Questions regarding the collection, use, and disclosure of this personal information may be directed to the clerk. I will now ask Cindy to advise members of the public how they participate in the meeting, and she'll put up some slides to show you how to do that.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm just going to bring that up now. So anyone from the public who wishes to speak can use the raise hand feature. Sorry, I'm just going to share that. Can you see that up on the screen now?
No, Cindy.
Not
No?
yet.
Hang on. My computer has frozen, which is not helpful. Okay. Yeah, my computer is completely frozen. So anyone who wishes to use or to speak can use the raise hand feature, which is at the bottom of your screen in the middle. If you are calling in from a phone, you dial *9, and that is the same thing as raising the hand. That will let me know that somebody wishes to speak. After the application has been discussed and
Oh, I think we just lost Cindy.
Yeah, she's just checking. I think maybe part of the problem
the screen, you can click on that and use the sliders.
there. She got it.
Pardon?
You were frozen.
lost you.
I think it's our internet here, Cindy, that's causing us some issues because I know the library is open downstairs. Oh, it's come up now.
Yeah, and things
There
are
we go.
glitchy here. So you can see that. Okay, so if you can't hear the meeting or the chair can't hear you, there's issues with the audio, you can use the audio settings on the bottom left hand of the Zoom screen. A dialog box will appear like the one below, and you just make sure that the checkbox outlined in red or pink, automatically adjust volume, is selected. If it is not selected, you can check the box, and this will ensure the volume of your speakers and microphone are adjusted automatically by Zoom. If clicking the automatically adjust volume button does not improve the volume, you can manually move the speaker and or microphone slider button until you can hear the meeting or you can be heard in the meeting. If you're connecting via smartphone or tablet and are unable to speak, you will need to permit audio controls for Zoom to access your microphone in the audio settings of your phone. Please visit the settings and then scroll down to the Zoom app to enable this feature.
Okay. So we have 26 participants on with us, I just noticed, but I'm sure they're not all wanting to speak on these two issues. So Jenny, I will ask you to start. You're on mute, Jenny.
Sorry about that. I thought I'd unmuted myself. I didn't hit the button properly. You think I'd have got that down by now? First,
we can hear you now.
Perfect. The first item up is a zoning bylaw amendment submitted for property located at 1580 Wagerville Road. In fact, it's two parcels, one located on the north side and one located on the south side of Wagerville Road. They are just currently jointly assessed, and that's something that is fairly common with MPAC, although they are separate parcels. They are looking, the application is to rezone portions of both properties on each side of Wagerville Road to permit development anticipated to be rural residential type development. They're not looking at rezoning the entire parcels as shown in the map within the report. The red outlined areas on each parcel immediately above.
Can you share the screen and show us?
I will do that. Let's see. To figure out which one it's on. Can you see that?
Yes, we can.
All right. So as I was noting, the entirety of both parcels on the north and south side are almost all zoned in as EP1, which is a specific zone that highlights the likelihood of organic soils being present due to wetlands that are mapped in and around the areas. The applicants have provided an information report from Cambium in Engineering and Consulting that details it's sort of a geotechnical soils analysis report, a scoped one for the property. And they've identified these areas outlined in red as being suitable for development. So the application is to rezone these portions of each of the subject properties from EP1 to rural to permit rural development in that location. They have concurrently submitted a severance application for the northern parcel to divide the property approximately along this green dashed line in the middle. And that severance would also have required the rezoning. So they have submitted them as concurrent applications. And that application for severance is anticipated to go to the August Committee of Adjustment meeting. If that was if they're approved, one of the conditions of that would be that this rezoning be passed. At this point, planning staff are recommending that council do the public meeting for this, hear comments, and subject to anything that's brought up or raised at this point, we will incorporate that along with the decision of the consent at the next council meeting with the recommendation.
Okay, thank you. If you could just take that down. Okay. Do we have any, the applicant does the applicant want to add anything to what's already been said? We'll
Yes,
just wait for a minute to see.
I do have the applicant's agent with his hand up, so I'm going to move him over.
Okay.
Jason, can you hear us?
Thank you. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Excellent.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My name is Jason Sands. I'm a registered professional planner, and I am here on behalf of the owners of the subject property. I would just like to thank staff for hearing this application, this evening's agenda, and Ms. Kapusta's overview. The only one piece of information I'd like to clarify on the sketch that was provided in support of this application, it was identified that both the north and south parcels are proposed to be rezoned. For clarity, only the northern parcel is proposed to be severed through a consent application. The southern portion, which is going to be more difficult as it relates to finding buildable envelopes based on EP setbacks, etc., is not proposed to be severed. For that reason, only one application was submitted for consent. There's approximately 15 acres of building area on the northern side of Wagerville Road, which would be subdivided into approximately 2 7.5-acre lots. And the applicants are proposing in the near future to construct single-family dwellings on both the severed and retained lots on the northern side of Wagerville Road. And we look forward to moving through this approval process. I'm happy to answer any questions that any of you as members of committee and council may have this evening. And thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Any questions on this application by any member of council? Sounds pretty straightforward. Okay. I don't think we have any questions or comments on that application. So,
Mayor Smith, can we ask if there's any member of the public?
Oh, right. Yes. Is there any member of the public who wishes to support or not support this application? Again, raise your hand and Cindy will move you over to speak. Or if you want to ask the applicants any questions.
I see no raised hands, Madam Mayor.
Okay, so let's move to the second zoning application and then we'll do the motions after we're finished the public meeting. So Jenny, are you doing the second one as well?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I am also doing this one. This is a rezoning application that is to be a temporary use zoning bylaw amendment through site-specific rezoning to permit the location of a food refreshment vehicle, commonly known as a chip truck, to be located on the subject property. Currently, this bylaw does not permit a food truck to be located anywhere in the township. At the time of my writing of the report, I was saying as the township is undergoing their official plan update. Happily, you guys all passed that earlier and adopt going forward on that so we can move forward. The purpose of this temporary use bylaw is to permit the location of this food truck In the interim, until the zoning bylaw and or a refreshment vehicle licensing bylaw can be put into place to provide provisions and controls with regards to the siting and location of these. This is, council may remember, similar to an application last year for a chip truck within the business district just near Highway 7 and the 38 interchange. This one is a little bit further down towards Arden, so it is a good spacing looking at this type of thing when you've got some in that area and some down here. Highway 7 is also where the official plan and zoning bylaw are looking at directing uses such as these, considered a highway commercial use that serves both the residents of Central Frontenac as well as the traveling public. I was going to share my screen and show the exact location. All right, hopefully that comes up just to give everyone a better idea of exactly where this is. This is the property that has the old band office located on it along Highway 7. The applicant has consulted with the Ministry of Transportation, as well as this application was circulated for comments. They've received approval from the MTO for an entrance from Highway 7 onto the subject property. It does have a dual entrance or sort of a U-shaped entrance right now, and their approval is conditional that at some point one of those entrances would be closed, and they were able to have an agreement with the MTO as a cost savings measure that they will approve this in principle, and then the next time the MTO is doing works along Highway 7, they will do the removal of the entrance and the culverting and all of that at the time when they're doing the works in the area. So that is noted, that is a cost savings for the applicant. And it is good that they have consulted and received that approval. I'm just going to stop sharing here. Based on these, the recommendation from planning is to hear public comments and pass the bylaw at this same meeting.
Okay. Okay, is the applicant with us, and does the applicant wish to speak?
The applicant is on the participant list. I do not see that they have their hand raised, but I'll give them a few seconds. If you do want to wish to speak, if you can use the raise hand feature. Okay, they do have their hand up, so I'm going to move you over. And if you can unmute, there you go.
Okay, go ahead.
Can you hear us, Deborah? Deborah, can you hear us?
Hello?
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 We can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, and I'm new to this, so I'd like to say thank you for allowing us to speak. I didn't really prepare much to say, but I'm kind of looking forward, my husband and I, to trying this new adventure and promote some long-term residency and entrepreneurs into the Arden area. I can see that Central Frontenac encourages and promotes new businesses and to promote economy and growth. And it is such a nice area to offer something to their options. And so we're looking forward to this adventure. And totally open to answering any questions in regards to this. Thank you.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions of Deborah or Tony? Okay. Seeing no questions, thank you. Is there any member of the public who wishes to speak in support or not supporting this application?
Again, if there's anyone, can you use the raise hand feature if you wish to speak? I see none, Madam Mayor.
Okay, all right. So does any member of council have any questions for the applicants? Nikki, go ahead.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. My question just is this is close, this location is quite close to Arden, and we already have one food refreshment vehicle there. I know competition is good for some people, but is that something that we should all be taking into account, that business is pretty close?
For me to address that, it's yeah, competition is good, but I'm not here and my husband's not here to put anybody out of business, or we just want to do this adventure kind of and not be threatening toward anyone else, for sure. So we just want to get along with everybody. There's no personal agenda there. We just want to see this chip truck kind of, or food truck kind of grow and offer opportunities, different varieties of food for everybody that lives in the area, anybody passing by, promoting the area to people outside of the area to come in. But yeah, there's no concern on our half. We're not here to harm anybody in any way.
Okay, and I guess the difference is one is in town and one is on busy Highway 7. Whether or not they're competing for the same customers, I don't know. I guess that's the difference, eh? Bill?
Yes, as a matter of fact, if we look back a few years, there were quite a few restaurants along that same stretch of highway. So adding a chip truck in there is probably going to meet a need. And I suspect if the business doesn't come to the chip truck, then it's probably not going to be there a long time. So I wish them good luck. I'll support this motion. So, and as a follow-up on this location, my wife and I spent our wedding night at that location 51 years ago. So that's just my personal comment on that. So.
And it wasn't a food truck then. It was actually a motel, I believe.
It was a restaurant and a motel. You're right.
Okay, all right. So if there isn't anything else, this will end our public meeting. And just have to read this little statement. The public meeting is now concluded. I would remind any person wishing to receive additional information to provide their full name, address, postal code, and contact numbers to Cindy, Deputy Clerk, to the email address or phone number in the report. Okay. And I have some motions moved by Brett and seconded by Victor that council received the planning report and comments from the public meeting regarding the application for zoning bylaw amendment ZB 0421 Barker Peters. All those in favor? Carried. And moved by Cindy and seconded by Tom, that council received the comments from the public meeting scheduled for July 13th, 2021, and that the application for a temporary zoning bylaw amendment, file number ZB0521 Wilson, for the 0.73 acre parcel of land, municipality known as 29649 Highway 7, located at Part Lot 17, Concession 2, Geographic Township of Kennebec, be approved, and that zoning bylaw number 2011-52 of the Township of Central Frontenac as amended be further amended as per attachment 2, draft bylaw and schedule 2 to amend bylaw number 2011-52, and that council determines that in accordance with section 3417 of the Planning Act, no further notice is required prior to the passage of the bylaw, and further that the amending bylaw be presented to council for all three readings. Discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Okay. Have a motion moved by Bill and seconded by Brent that bylaw 2021-43, being a bylaw to amend the private road naming policy, be read a first and second and third time and finally passed this 13th day of July 2021. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Carried. Okay. Moved by Nikki and seconded by Victor that bylaw 2021-44, being a bylaw to close Heritage Road, Old Tryon Road, be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed this 13th day of July 2021. Discussion? All those in favor? Carried. And I have another motion moved by Sherry and seconded by Tom. That bylaw 2021-45, being a bylaw to adopt the Township of Central Frontenac official plan dated July 2021, be read a first, second, and third time, and finally passed this 13th day of July 2021. Discussion? All those in favor? Carried. With two hands, some of us.
Yeah.
All right. Motion moved by Cindy and seconded by Bill that bylaw 2021-46, being a bylaw to amend the Township of Central Frontenac zoning bylaw 2011-52 as amended to temporarily rezone a parcel of land to permit a licensed refreshment sales vehicle food truck 29649 Highway 7 be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed this 13th day of July 2021. Discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Okay, is there any notices of motion?
No,
Any giving of notice of motion?
no,
Any new or other business?
no, there is not.
And we have a closed session. So I have a motion moved by Victor and seconded by Tom that council move into closed session pursuant to section 239(2) of the Municipal Act to discuss matters regarding 1, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees pursuant to section 239(2)B, fire. All those in favor? Carried.
Are we taking a 5-minute break, Madam Mayor, while we get ready?
No, but if you give Cindy about 2 minutes, you can have a stretch.
Maybe a washroom?
I will ask anyone on the meeting to now leave the meeting unless you're council or staff staying in, and I'll stop the recording.